Hello and welcome to Spain with Martina. Today we're going to talk about 12 types of houses you should never buy. Buying a house is the biggest investment we will make. That's why I think it's so important to have all the information possible to buy a house so you can make a safe real estate decision and get the best house on the market, because there are a lot of houses that look good on the surface but have hidden flaws. And that's why I made this informative video here, so you can avoid these houses. If you like the video, I will be happy if you give me a layman, and don't forget to give a subscription. So we're going to take a look at 12 houses you should never buy. Number 1. Hobbit houses. These are the one-bathroom, one-bedroom houses. Their market is much smaller when it comes to selling. They are only for single people. Basically, people stay in it for a short time, because as soon as they can look for another place to live, they do. Number 2. Houses that make a bad impression. Trust your instincts, and trust them. If a house doesn't feel right, it won't change. If you think you have to make 100 adjustments, renovations and designs to make it the way you want it to be, and that it will change the neighborhood and all the people who live there, it's not your house. Number 3. Houses with built-in trains. Houses that are adjacent to the wrong places, in short, that are in the wrong location. Imagine a house that sits on the side of the road. There's unbearable noise, or it's a dirty, neglected road, or at the approach to a shopping mall, or by a railroad track. But conversely, imagine a house that is adjacent to a golf course, or overlooking the mountains, or on a nice street. All of which gives it value. Number 4. House the size of a football stadium. Biggest house in the neighborhood. If you see several houses of 400 square meters, and next to them you see one of 330,000 square meters that has a garden like Santiago Bernabeu, you have to think that the more the built-up area of the house increases, the value of the house per square meter decreases. For example, a 400 SQM house in one area is worth €1,800, and the house next door of approximately 3,000 SQM, its valuation may be around €1,400 per square meter, 22% less. Avoid large houses that are difficult and expensive to maintain. Number 5. Houses with any legal restrictions. Never buy a house that has any legal restrictions, such as leases or social housing, which then have restrictions on both the sale price and the rental price. Houses whose use is permitted for first home and not for rental, or with some restriction imposed by the state. I will give you another example. Think of cities like Barcelona in Spain, where they put restrictions on renting in certain areas as holiday apartments. If you are thinking of buying a property for investment purposes, you need to take this into account and see if this property has any municipal or legal restrictions, in which case its value will not be equal to that of another property in an adjacent area that can be rented out without restrictions. Don't buy anything that restricts the use of your options. You must put your hands away from such a property. Run away from it. Number 6. Housing certificate. Moving on. If certain types of legal issues, there are lofts that are not regulated. Lofts that are former street-level commercial spaces that have been converted and zoned for rental and have expanded greatly. These properties are on streets with traffic, and despite the noise and convenience of traffic, people passing by, they're many and are very nice. The problem is that some of these properties do not have a housing certificate issued by the council, and in that case you have to be careful, because at the time of expansion they were used a lot as holiday properties. But if their use is not legalized, you can have a real problem and devalue your whole investment. You should also keep in mind its previous use as commercial premises. This means that many properties have a much higher coefficient. In other words, you will pay more money for it. Number 7. Houses without buildings. Some people build a bedroom in their garage or put a plasterboard partition on their roof to make an extension. Some of the patio extensions are very nice. The problem is that they don't add the same value per square foot as the original structure. For many people looking for a house, 300 built and 200 built, plus 100 added by an extension is not the same, plus there is a feeling of crampedness in these extensions. Number 8. Bargain. You need to make your own budget and don't be led by what the seller tells you. Someone tells you that this house is worth this much and in 5 years' time it will be worth much more. Make your own budget, and if you don't know how to do it, have a realtor or someone you trust do it. And if in doubt, discuss it with someone close to you who has experience. House number 9. The handyman's house. Did you find out he did some of the wiring this way? He installed lights in the house, but if you look, you'll see bare wires or bad connections. It's all wrong because he's not an expert in wiring. You'll see that the windows are almost all fine, but one is different because he replaced it with a different material that is not the same as the previous one because he bought it maybe second hand, and you see that it doesn't close properly and that little crack and so on. There is something wrong with the whole house. Houses are full of little things and little repairs. Visually, so they have their charm, but they're kind of poorly finished. The word wouldn't be badly finished, but badly reformed. That's not to say that there aren't real artists and professionals and people with skills. Wood, electrical, plumbing and flooring and everything is wrong. We're talking about people who say, experimented with their house and learned at the same time. And we would like our house built and renovated by a professional who is an expert. Well, if you have a choice, look for houses where the previous owners have done reforms with professionals and architects and who can show you invoices for repairing or reforming that house. Number 10. Bad layout, for example, no bathroom in the bedroom, corridors you have to walk through from the bedroom to the bathroom or 2 huge bedrooms and 1 tiny one. These are all houses with a bad layout. Number 11. Houses on a shoestring. Avoid houses that people have bought, renovated, and sold. I would never buy a house that hasn't been renovated by a professional with the proper permits. Take many of these houses at face value. They are small houses bought at very low prices. Because of their condition, they have undergone minor cosmetic reforms, a quick coat of paint, a little bit of flooring, but also a little bit of light in the kitchen, little things, but they're not usually structural reforms, so when you get into a house like that, it's easy to find out 3 months after you buy it that there are structural defects or faults that are very expensive to fix. Roofs, plumbing, heating. What I would like to emphasize in this section is to avoid houses with cosmetic modifications that do not have good construction. That said, most of the sales and purchases of property that take place in Spain are accepted, which by the way means that you buy a house sometimes in such a way that the seller of the house gives no guarantee on the construction. The truth is that you buy the house as you see it. If you don't see the structure, you will have very little recourse against the seller and will have to seek some sort of legal security, which is what you should do. However, litigation would take a lot of time and probably cost you a lot of money. So if you see that the house has a legal or teething problem or some kind of restriction, sort it out. You don't know how much trouble you'll save yourself, and remember that everything that is decoration and minor cosmetic adjustments is of great value to the person selling the house, but not to the buyer. While the structural modifications made by the seller are of value to the buyer because they cost a lot of money. Number 12. Houses with special construction defects. Run away from them, and here we are talking about houses, for example, with sloping terrain, poorly built partitions, poorly built walls, for example, a fantastic house whose facade is crumbling over time because the cement was poorly chosen. Consult an experienced professional, architect or surveyor to find out what condition the building is in and how much it would cost to reconstruct it or register it in the land registry. Pay attention to these small details when looking for the ideal house, because when you look at the patterns in houses, it is possible that one thing hides another, so you need to be very attentive and use all this information to your advantage. If you liked the video, I'd be happy if you subscribe and give it a like, share the video with your friends or family who are looking for a house and you think they might be interested. Have a great day, thank you for watching and see you on the next video. Bye.